Hi, everyone. Welcome to this new encounter in streaming. I am here from my beloved bar here in Roseti, where so many people saw so many musicians pass by, and I miss it so much. So many conversations that we have had here. So this is a special encounter, virtual encounter with this new way of communicating. And we are with Victoria Barca, Big Bang, and Manuel Overholzer, Feldermelder. We just saw two amazing solo sets that they've made. For me, it's such a joy to be able to have them together. My idea in this international streaming encounter was to talk about how did you come up, how did you put together this solo sets, how do you compose. When I thought about this project, I must confess, along with TV Little Rec, it was difficult to think about doing a crossover between artists of different countries that they don't even know each other and they need to connect and then put together something, um, all of them together, which is amazing. For me, I'm really, really happy. I see so many similarities between you two in your way of composing. So maybe, yeah, I wanted for you to let me know how was it that you put this together, the solo set that we just witnessed, and which methods do you use with the sounds that you choose, and you add layers and loops through the percussion and all the textures that you um, add, and you have that like organized chaos, as we usually say. So maybe Big, you want to start telling us a little bit. Yes, well, for me, everything that I played in the solo set, it's new. Everything was like a new release because I was playing from the previous album, and I was composed with that album like from previously. And for me, I've played that so many times that I just took the opportunity to do something new. And everything that I played is yes, new material, brand new material. And in my case, for composing, I record lots of sounds of objects that I have here in my house with, and some very conventional instruments. I record melodies and different like bangs, and I use that. I either sample it or I put together several loops. Sometimes I try to do this live with the keyboards that I have, the controller. I try to loop different things live, so not just the sounds that I play. And that is how I basically do this like collage, sound collage, and that's how it comes up. So that was an improv. Were you improvising with that set, or is it half and half? In general, I don't improvise. I like having like what I am about to do. I like to have it set because when I play live, I'm really nervous. Um, I don't like to leave things. I There are some moments of improvisation, and there are things that I deal with at the moment. But the things that I play in the keyboards, I've already thought about them. I don't leave things by chance. Yeah, great. Would you like Manuel to tell us how you
Uh,
put together
ye-
the solo set?
yes, I have to say that normally I build quite consequently all the details out of my tracks and what I play. But for this, I really turned on. I put on two cameras and I turned on my setup and I just played. Really, I improvised it through the whole set. I just set up the things I want to use and then I recorded it and that's it. I thought it really fits the format and the to do something. I don't know. I wanted to do something from the heart, really, without overthinking it. And yeah, it's really about this. Normally, I use. In general, I use a lot of modular synths and a lot of self-built instruments like the little hammers or things like this to enhance. And my studio is next to the SMEM. It's like the biggest synth collection in the world. It's just over like 50 meters, and I can go get whatever I want if I need. So I use a wide range of uh, instruments to create whatever I need. Actually, I more think about the idea, and then I find the things to use. You want to know more?
That's great.
Yeah, those sort of percussive robots that you have that appear throughout the solo. How do you put that up? How do you put that together? How did you actually activate those robots?
um, to think how I build them. Actually, I'm in this group Encore Studio, and we build a lot of installations, and it's part of an idea we had, like with bigger hammers and smallers. So I always have some of them around, and I control them with CV gate, with like modular gate signals from modular synth. But I can also control them via DMX, like it's a lightning control protocol.
Tremendo. Increíble. Amazing. That's amazing. We can really appreciate that, all the effects and everything. Well, Vic, this year you had your album. You were saying that it was long played live. I imagine that probably you played it here in Roseti, right? Maybe last year at some point. So tell us how you were able to put up and put together that album. Where was it released? And, where can we actually listen to it? Well, it was mostly played on streamings, honestly. I started composing it in February this year. So it was mostly during lockdown. It's something that is actually a product and a result of this lockdown. So this album came out from this record that actually hired me, which is Kit Records, which is label from London. They offered me to do an album, and the idea was to do a cassette originally. And I thought it was a great idea because I've never done anything in a physical format. It was always digitally, and I've never edited anything like a cassette or anything. So this would be my first time. So I started working on that record with the very same methods I was telling you before. It's just basically recording different sounds and lots of editing involved. And I also synthesized a lot, which is something that I'm learning how to do. I'm learning how to synth. I don't really have any equipment for it. I don't have a synthesizer, so what I have are sort of emulators that imitate that sound. So The album, I feel, is a bit kind of a summary of what I've been doing for long enough now. This kind of percussion patchwork where I feel like every time I'm taking more and more risks. And my former album was a bit simpler and a bit, not as complex. But right now I've learned a lot and I've perfected myself in what has to do with sound production because I used to play instruments before rather than actually using this Ableton or these kind of programs to create the sounds. So I'm learning more and more about it, and great. And have you also recorded samples, maybe on the album? I mean, that you recorded yourself and you've applied that there? Yes, most of those samples that you can see there, I recorded them. I don't really download that many samples from internet. I really like to put them together myself, try to use objects or instruments, and then through some synth processes, I emulate lots of sounds, but I don't normally download samples from internet. Yeah, we can tell that. That is also something that we can appreciate every time that we listen to your album. So Manuel, and this year you've also released an album along with Sarah Oswald, cello player. Well, I when I listened to it, I thought it was incredible. So would you like to tell us a bit about the process of that album? Because I also feel that it's something that it's a bit
It's
different to what you've been doing.
yes, it's actually it was like uh, there is a big festival here, and the promoter of this festival asked me to play with this cellist that I didn't know, and we never really played before or talked about it, and we just played this show that we recorded, and then I cut some things out, and this is the album. So it's not really, there was no process at all, we just did it. It sounds a bit but we met 15 minutes or so in a rehearsing room, and I imagined technically how we're going to do it, because she controls with the cello the modular synths, and there is like a dialogue, and we just tested that technically it worked, and we had to do it along a movie, and that we didn't watch. And we wanted to go really naked, so to say, like with no, I didn't know the person, I know nothing about her. We just went and played in front of a gigantic audience this show, and yeah, this was really the process. So but since then since this first show that we recorded and now we released, we made more of these sessions that we really have the same process. We don't talk at all. We just start recording, and everything is real time. And I recorded it multi-track, and then we don't edit. We just cut. Like, here's the beginning, here's the end. And yeah, and soon we will have 2 new records. We did some things during the pandemic, so we're working. we have been working in this strange process. We have, like, we don't have real. We just know each other from playing together, but besides that, we don't know nothing about each other. I like it really a lot. It's communication just through music. It's nice. I like this project. And it's a bit less brain melting than other projects I do, where it's really, really a longer process before, and building software for it also. And this project is really just like, let it happen.
Claro, increíble. Bueno, está
Of
buenísimo.
course, I imagine. That's amazing. It sounds amazing, so it's great.
Yeah, thank you. it's really easy to play with her. So she's really good cellist. So it really makes it easy.
Es, es un buen ejercicio para lo
It's
que
a
viene.
good exercise, I imagine, for what's coming up next, which is a bit the next step that you're going to take between the two of you, right? Which is this putting together this EP together, which is going to be released in March 2021 through TVL Rec and OUS, which is Manuel's record label, which is also an incredible label. I really recommend for everyone to go check it out. And I would also like to ask you a bit about that. If you were, how do you imagine the process, the work that's coming up next? How do you feel about interacting with each other? How you're planning on exchanging material? Because these you're two musicians that have never met before, and this is kind of what you were saying, Manuel, before, okay? But you need to compose this, you need to create this, and you're gonna dialogue through music, right? Which in the end is the most important thing.
You want to start?
I don't know who wants to start.
No, bueno, la verdad yo no tengo tanta
Well,
experiencia haciendo
honestly, I'm not really that experienced by making or producing music with others. I do have experience playing live,
colaboración, nunca lo hice, así que
but I've never done this collab thing. So this is going to be my first time.
pero tengo fe que va a salir todo bien.
But I hope everything's going to be great. I mean, we've already been
Cosas,
talking about sending each other some stuff that we would do separately so that the other could go on from there,
de campo
or even maybe
que estamos en lugares
taking scenes that were into different places, taking some stuff from each of our respective places. That was Manuel's proposal, and I thought it was very, very interesting to have that contrast and a fusion at the same time, a merger between these two places where we both live. So that's about it. I don't know if you, Manuel, would like to add anything else.
Yeah, I think like we slowly started to get into the process, and I really think we just need to start go on further, and I don't know, to think that there is a fixed process will block at least me. So I think we will just send each other things, and then the process, the music we choose to do in the end will define the process we have to take. I don't know. It's really, I think, especially if you don't know each other well, you just have to go with what is happening. And I think it's also the freshest way to not overthink it too much. To really just, to let both people do bring what they want to bring, and then really accept it and do it. I think it's,
Y seguir adelante.
Yeah.
Claro, buenísimo, totalmente.
Yes,
Sí,
like
sí.
move forward. Absolutely. Let the music govern the situation. And talking a little bit about your sounds, something that I perceived, especially in the pandemic here at the beginning, it was like the sound, like even in the city, it was like it was reduced. I don't know how it was over there, but here we felt like the silence for 3 or 4 months. It was like there was less sound. So which sounds did you perceive more? Vic, you put up this album now. Maybe you made the most out of those sounds and you use them for composing for this new album. And Manuel, maybe the same. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that. Okay, I will start.
Sí, es verdad que hubo
It's true.
una baja de
It's true that there was definitely like less sound in the city.
barrio, o sea, bastante
I live in a very calm neighborhood, very residential in Flores.
y acá, o sea, bueno,
And here, well, I am used to listening like birds that sing. I don't know if that happens in other areas of Buenos Aires. I love listening to the birds and many of the sounds in my album are inspired by these birds. And it's like I recreate that, and I love listening to birds singing, basically. And I don't know if that is reflected on the album or not, but for me, I spent a lot of time self isolating in my house. And yes, there weren't as many sounds in the city. And for some time, it was very difficult. It was very hard because the quarantine period became so long. It was difficult for me to find um, incentives to create music. I felt all the days were the same. Everything was very monotonous. I didn't have anything that would encourage me, that would keep me going and maybe feeling alive. To create music. So I did suffer that a lot. And when I did the album, it was at the beginning of the self isolation period. And I kind of like took advantage of that situation of being alone in my house, recording, composing. I liked it, but when I finished the album and the self isolation period continued, it was hard. And well, now, for example, having this interview, that helped me out a lot because I began composing again. Manuel, how was it for you, your experience?
I have to say, with the silence, I live in a in a very small town compared to a city, compared to a city like Buenos Aires. I mean, the whole Switzerland is in 1.5 hours. I go in all directions of the country. So it's really another. It's the country is more like one big city where sometimes there is a forest or a mountain. But I had a really crazy experience actually that I never had before in my life. During sound wise, I went to the mountains and I walked really on top of a mountain. And I was drinking a Schweppes. It sounds stupid, but I was drinking a Schweppes, and it was so loud. The bubbles in my head were so loud that I was completely shocked. I couldn't understand what is happening. And then I was looking around, and there was no plane, no car, no nothing. There was no sound at all. And actually, this absence of any sound except my Schweppes was the most influential experience during the pandemic. It was really I don't know, it's really strange. We're back in a lockdown, so since it starts tonight. So it goes on. It goes on.
Qué bárbaro, sí, increíble. Bueno, estamos justos en...
Wow, oh my God, right. Well, we are in opposite zones here. Summer is beginning, people are starting to go out, musicians are taking over the parks, artists in general are taking over, yes, the parks and the streets. And over there you have the winter that's coming, so you're looking again.
Yeah, it was nice 2 months ago. But it's over, and here it gets really cold. So yeah, it's gonna be. I don't know. It's good to have a project to keep us happy both. So.
Claro, buenísimo. Sí, creo que eso siempre salva.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's always like a lifesaver. And talking a little bit about the cities, and talking about the cities that are so different, I wanted to ask you, what things, besides the pandemics and the lockdown and the situation that we're experiencing, what things do you enjoy of the music scene of your city? What things do you use the most as an opportunity, and which things would you like to see changed in your cities in a normal scenario? for me, the music scene here, it's amazing. I love all of my friends, colleagues that are musicians. I think that the experimental music scene in Buenos Aires is very rich. They're very talented and creative people. And I don't know what I'd like to see change. Maybe I'd like to see more places where you can play. Well, right now, of course, we're on the other end of the scenario, but outside of that apart, I would like to see maybe a little bit more places where you can play. Of course, Roseti is the one where I played the most amount of times. But yes, maybe that's the one thing. And also, how some places that organize events, sometimes the treatment with the musicians. I understand that it's very difficult to manage a place, especially in our country and with this situation in our city. But sometimes we put all this effort into playing, we're taking our instruments, and sometimes they don't even give you, I don't know, a can of beer, or yeah, you take a percentage of the ticket sold. I understand that it's difficult for everyone, for all the parties involved. But yeah, that might be a change that I'd like to see here.
Yeah,
Manuel,
yeah,
how is
well, Switzerland. I have to say, Fribourg, like, is a super small city of 38,000, and the next city is like 15 minutes away, or so. It's like the music scene, like, of Fribourg, is really cool. Actually, locally, I would say it's really cool. There are a lot of good festivals and things. It's like happening a lot for how big the city is. Extremely a lot. It has a bit lost the way I think it's something I really would like to change, but this is in the whole Switzerland. I would because there is a lot of money pressure on every club, because things cost a lot here, that they are not so flexible to giving younger, weirder artists a place. Like, I'm quite set in this European music scene, so I don't want to complain anything or so, but I think there's a lot of young, good musicians that don't get a platform to then become an artist that goes maybe further or so, or that has opportunity to make a big show instead of playing in a small venue forever. Also to develop. And I think this is something that here people don't want to take a risk to give somebody anymore a big stage like this. Because here there's also, for all kinds of music, there are big possibilities to play in front of 2,000 people or 1,000 or so. Or like also for very experimental things. So, but yeah, this is my approach. But besides that, I have to say, in Switzerland, there is so much things that you can see. Yeah, there is not a lot of lack of venues, lack of artists. I don't know. It's more. I think that what is missing is free stuff. Where young people can go without spending a lot of cash, and this is really missing in the whole, on every level of from the entry for the artists. Like, it's too much money pressure, so they don't take gigantic risks. But with this situation, maybe it's going to change. Who knows?
Increíble, sí, que sean también.
Yes. I mean, it's amazing that we have these kind of similar issues. And so if it's not there, do you guys normally migrate somewhere else? I mean, I guess that's good about Europe, that everything is close by. And which other nearby cities, I mean, near Fribourg or near Zurich, are you normally playing in general?
Yeah, I play all. I have to say, because with the installations, and I normally play once a year in Asia, and then I play in Europe. I play. I don't know. I mostly play festivals, so I play rarely. The last couple of years, I really played clubs. I mostly just play specific festivals. I don't know, Terraforma, things like this that are really made for what I do. And this is the good thing in Europe. I don't know. In Italy, I play a lot in Italy. I played recently, or Austria. Yes, with Europe is really, I don't know. It has grown together. So to go quickly to Berlin or so for the weekend is a normal thing. It doesn't cost. It costs me more money to take the train in Switzerland to the airport than the plane to Berlin. So,
Claro.
so
Sí, sí, sí.
it has come really together, and this is also the thing I really miss the most, because my friends don't live here. I live here because I have my quiet and peace to work when I'm here, and all my friends are live in other countries because you go there all the time. So yeah, I think it's a bit different because the size of the country.
Sí. Y Vic, vos también viajaste.
Right, and you, Vic, you've also traveled and did some shows around in Europe, in other places here in Latin America.
Estuve en Perú
Yes, I've been in Peru
hace 2 años, creo.
about 2 years ago, I would say. But it was only on
Era una fecha
one specific date because it was actually a trip that I was planning to do with my partner, and he had been invited to play at a local festival, and I went with him, and some guys from Peru organized another event, and I only played there at that specific event, and then both of us went to Europe last year, and we played, yeah, in a few events, and it was amazing. It was a unique experience, honestly. I think it's crazy how everything works in Europe. I mean, you're paid to play, and everything sounds amazing. The venues are perfect for that. I don't know, it's what we call first world. Yeah, I mean, but it's crazy what Manuel was saying, right? About all of these issues that also come up due to this money pressure, for example, and how young people start. And this is something I think that happens everywhere along the world. Okay, that this lack of physical spaces for people to play, and venues for people who are starting, and it's really hard to actually try to manage these venues. I think it's really necessary to do it, and of course I also think that there needs to be more government support for those venues to survive, and so that these are actually the spaces that can give room to new generations, the room and the time for them to show what they do. So to wrap up a bit, I would also like to say that Vika and Manuel are going to do an album together, and that's going to be released in March 2021 with TVL Rec and O's as record labels. I really recommend for everyone to check out their work, which is amazing, and having both of them here is great. Is there anything that you would like to share with us about your plans for 2021, whether it is with or without the pandemic and the lockdown, apart from this album that you guys are going to record together? Vic, would you like to say anything? Yes, well, I got an email from another label from the US to do another cassette, so I'm composing that as well, which is also kind of what I did at the live set. It's a bit of what I'm working on right now for that new project, and I'm very happy about it because in less than a year I've had 2 proposals to do albums, and this is actually the first collab I'm gonna have. So I feel like even though the context is quite worrying, I feel like I'm moving around a lot, and I think, you know, in terms of music, that is a lot. So it's great.
Manuel, ¿qué se viene?
I have endless plans for 2021. I hope one of them will. I don't know. At the moment, I should have a lot of shows. I should have a lot of shows in 2021 if it's happening, and I will release tons of new music. I did 2 albums with Sarah Oswald, new ones. I did a tape for a Berlin label that should come out in November, and I did a couple of records for us and other, like, more specific tracks for other projects, and so many installations. I'm really not wasting any time in this pandemic. Trying to.
Encerrado y tocando, tocando, tocando. Espectacular.
Yes, locked, playing, playing, playing. Well, thank you so much, both of you.
Estaremos atentos acá en la
We will be here, you know, in the description of this video. We will have all the links for everyone to be able to listen to their work, and hopefully we will have this encounter again, but live
Yes.
and in person here in this bar, and to listen to you in that room. And I know that will happen. This will end, and we were able to physically meet. So thank you so much. This is Roseti en casa, Roseti in Roseti, because Roseti is where I am right now. And well, so we wrap up this streaming encounter with Victoria and Manuel. We will meet again. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us. Bye.